At Ethan's birthday banquet, his childhood sweetheart Yuki asked him, "Ethan, when are you going to pick up the underwear that was left at my house last time?" The gazes of others at the table all turned to him in unison, all with expressions of having eaten a big melon. Ethan quickly covered Yuki's mouth and hurriedly said to me, "Chloe, it's not what you think." I smiled calmly. I didn't think anything at all. You two are good buddies. I know that. After several rounds of drinking, Yuki put her arm around Ethan's neck. "Shall we go to the bar and compete later?" I nodded. "Have fun." "I won't go." The others at the table winked at Ethan. "Your girlfriend is really generous." But Ethan grabbed my arm and frowned and said, "Chloe, you've changed. You don't care about me anymore." However, Ethan, isn't this what you've always wanted? For Ethan's birthday, he bombarded me on WeChat for a long time, asking me to attend his birthday banquet. After finishing submitting the materials for the Postgraduate recommendation application, and still having a little time, I agreed. When I entered the private room, Ethan was playing around with Yuki. At the moment I saw me, Yuki remained calm and smiled at me, but somehow there was a hint of provocation in it. Ethan's expression was a bit unnatural, and he quickly let go of Yuki. "Chloe, sit next to me." There was an empty seat on his left and Yuki on his right. I sat next to Ethan, and he conveniently picked up a piece of fish for me. "Don't you love eating fish? Try it quickly." I frowned slightly imperceptibly. He didn't use serving chopsticks. At this time, a bowl suddenly stretched out from the side. "Ethan, in all these years we've known each other, why haven't I seen you be so gentle and considerate to me? You are my brother. Chloe is my girlfriend. Can it be the same?" Sensing my indifference, Ethan pushed Yuki away, but it seemed that he felt his tone was too hard. So he helplessly added a sentence, "Don't make trouble." These two words made the just deflated Yuki come to life again. She casually asked, "Ethan, when are you going to pick up the underwear that was left at my house last time?" In an instant, the whole private room was silent, and everyone quickly exchanged glances. Ethan quickly covered Yuki's mouth and hurriedly said to me, "Yao. It's not what you think." I smiled calmly. I didn't think anything at all. You two are good buddies. I know that. I continued to bury my head in eating. I hadn't eaten all day, and I was really hungry. Only the piece of fish that Ethan picked up was always placed by the side of the plate. After several rounds of drinking, Yuki was a little drunk. She put her arm around Ethan's neck. "Shall we go to the bar and continue competing later?" Ethan looked a bit embarrassed. "I have to send Chloe." Yuki looked disgusted. "She's already an adult. Does she still need to be sent? Isn't it too pretentious?" She put her arm on Ethan's shoulder and gave me a provocative look. If it were before, I would angrily point at her nose and question her, and ask Ethan to break off friendship with her with red eyes. Yuki couldn't wait for me to continue doing this so that she could play the role of a gentle and understanding flower. How could I do as she wished? I casually waved my hand and said to everyone with a smile, "Have fun. I'm too tired today. I'll go back and rest first." There was a look of astonishment on Ethan's face. Seeing this, he pushed Yuki away and stood up. "Chloe, I'll send you." But Yuki lost her balance and fell into Ethan's arms. I looked at the two of them. "You'd better take good care of Yuki. Your good buddy needs you more. As for me, I almost don't need you anymore." After walking out of the restaurant door, the accumulated fatigue of many days surged up. Some time ago, I was busy preparing for the math competition, preparing for the final exams, and also preparing for the Postgraduate recommendation materials. I have only slept 4 or 5 hours a day for a month. My boyfriend Ethan doesn't know all of this. I shook my head to clear my chaotic thoughts and planned to take a taxi back to the dormitory. But I heard someone call my name. "Chloe?" I turned around. It was Senior Xavier. Recently, in order to get recommended for postgraduate studies, I have asked him many questions online. Old Wang is inside. "Go in and say hello." He was just showing off to us and said that he received an email from a very powerful little girl. Guess who this little girl is? Xavier was being mysterious. Teacher Wang said. It's me? My heart was pounding. Teacher Wang is a teacher I have admired for a long time. The direction of my thesis is exactly the same as his research direction. I was beaming with joy, and returned to the battlefield full of fighting spirit. That night, as the only outsider, I sat at the dinner table of Teacher Wang's disciples. After half an hour of interrogation, Teacher Wang waved his hand and allowed me to call the others at the table senior brothers and sisters. I know that the goal that has been pursued all along is finally within reach. The tiredness of recent days was replaced by excitement. When the dinner was over, it was already very late. I hurried back to school just before the dormitory building was about to lock. Downstairs in the dormitory, I saw Ethan. There was a pile of cigarette butts under his feet. It seemed that he had been waiting for a long time. Only then did I remember that I hadn't contacted Ethan all night. If it were before, I would report my schedule to him in detail. I exclaimed in surprise. Didn't you go to the bar with Yuki? I thought he would go to the bar for an all-night party again. He pursed his lips and didn't answer my question. Instead, he handed me a lunchbox. Your favorite brown sugar glutinous rice cakes. They were served after you left. So I packed them for you. Thank you. But eating this at night is not easy to digest. Forget it. The drowsiness surged up again. I just wanted to lie on the bed and sleep soundly. But Ethan grabbed my arm and wouldn't let me leave. Chloe, I know you're angry about the underwear thing, right? I can explain. No, I won't be angry with Ethan anymore. Ethan hurriedly said. Last time I drank too much. Those guys sent me to the house that Yuki rented outside. But she wasn't at home at that time. She went back to her parents' house. Nothing happened at that time. Really? You believe me? You believe? I interrupted him. Well, I believe you. I'm tired and want to sleep. Okay? Back on the bed. I couldn't sleep no matter how hard I tried. Ethan and I met at the freshman welcome party. At that time, there was a problem with the program. As the host, I urgently saved the situation. An impromptu speech without a script bought time for the classmates backstage and also won applause from the audience. Then, Ethan took over. His impromptu solo street dance ignited the audience. At the moment our eyes met, my world was silent for a second. Then there were fireworks all over the sky. The party was a great success. Ethan ran across most of the playground and came in front of me. But he stammered, and couldn't say a word. I looked at him with a smile. Classmate Sue, you were really handsome tonight. The extremely handsome Ethan wants to be your boyfriend. Is that okay? We got together. He said he liked my scholarly air, and I admired his vividness and unrestrainedness. He accompanied me to the library to read books he didn't like. And he would also take me to music festivals to feel the sound waves of rock music. He led me to experience lifestyles I had never seen before and experience a vivid and unrestrained youth. At that time, friends around us all said that the two of us, one active and one quiet, were a perfect match. I once thought that we would always be in love until we were gray-haired. But when did it start? Ethan and I gradually returned to our own lives. Only a red line of boyfriend and girlfriend was still stubbornly pulling to people from different worlds. I clearly know that the red line will break. 3 The next day, I got up early and planned to visit my tutor in the laboratory. Ethan sent a message on WeChat. Have breakfast together? I'll accompany you to the library. If it were before seeing this message, I would immediately run downstairs and throw myself into his arms. Now there is an irritability of having my plan disrupted. It turns out that I, who used to buy breakfast for Ethan every day, was so annoying. I casually replied to the message, I have something to do today. Just as I went downstairs, I saw Ethan again. He came up to show off. I got up early and lined up to buy iced Americano. You used to love drinking this the most. I moved my lips. Ethan didn't know that I hadn't drunk iced Americano for a long time. I have a serious stomach problem. The doctor said not to eat too many cold and irritating things. After a pause, I still took the cup of iced coffee. The water droplets on the cup wall flowed down along the cracks between my fingers. The palm of my hand was icy cold. I didn't speak, so there was a moment of silence. Ethan said in a low voice, "You haven't brought me breakfast recently. My stomach is uncomfortable." I didn't speak. Once, when Ethan had a stomachache, I nagged and blamed him for not having breakfast. He childishly played tricks, because the food in the cafeteria is all cold. Nonsense. Well, what should I do to make you eat breakfast obediently? Then please bring me breakfast every day. Chloe. Ethan smiled mischievously. Love breakfast cures all diseases. So I started to bring him breakfast regardless of wind and rain. Ethan's expression gradually showed a hint of impatience from the initial joy. One morning after some time, Yuki also appeared downstairs. In front of Ethan, Yuki covered her mouth and chuckled. "Chloe, are you too controlling? Bringing breakfast every day. Is it to keep an eye on Ethan to make sure he doesn't stay out all night?" She turned around and punched Ethan hard. "Are you still a man? You're not angry when your girlfriend is watching you like this? You're so spineless." Ethan frowned and said, "Chloe, don't bring it any more in the future. I'm not a giant baby who needs your care. Nor am I a child who needs to be watched." It turns out that in his eyes, my self-perceived thoughtfulness is surveillance. Ethan also remembered the past and was rarely at a loss. Have breakfast together?" I smiled. "I have something to do today. Because of you. I don't have time to eat now. You eat by yourself. I'll go first." I waved and left. By the way, I threw the coffee full of water all over my hands into the trash can. For when I came out of the laboratory, it was already dark. On the first day in the laboratory, I was assigned a full schedule of work. According to my senior brothers and sisters, it's all like this. Just get through it. I stretched contentedly. But on the first floor, I met Ethan, who had been waiting for a long time. "Is he free today?" Ethan came up and wanted to hold my hand. I just fiddled with the materials in my hand and avoided it, pretending not to see his momentary stiffness. I said in a brisk voice, "Let's go. Let's go back." Walking on the way back to the dormitory, Ethan made small talk. "What are you doing here today?" "I have some questions in my studies. I came to ask the teacher." I found an excuse to prevaricate. "I don't want to tell outsiders the news that I entered the laboratory in advance. Including Ethan. It's too hard for you to be alone. By the way, will you go to the library tomorrow? I'll accompany you." I smiled on the surface. But in my heart I knew that this was just a whim of his. When we first fell in love, I took this seriously. Although I am not used to being disturbed while studying, I always thought this was a sweet annoyance. Later, he gradually started to leave after sitting for a short while, because he had to pick up Yuki, who sprained her foot, or deliver textbooks to Yuki. Later on, he forgot the original agreement, and I didn't mention it again. I got used to walking on the road alone, and arranging my study and life by myself. Originally, walking alone on the way to the future. The direction is more firm and the steps are lighter. A ringing of the phone broke the silence between us. After hesitation, Ethan answered the phone. Yuki's voice with a bit of drunkenness came. "Ethan, I drank a bit too much. Come and pick me up." Ethan's movement froze for a moment. His eyes were full of concern and worry. His mouth moved, but he didn't say anything. He secretly glanced at my expression. I raised a smiling face. "It's dangerous for a girl to drink too much. You go and pick her up." I waved and left. After a while, there were hurried footsteps behind me. It was Ethan. He put his arm around my shoulder and said with a smile, "You are my girlfriend. Sending my girlfriend back to the dormitory is the top priority." Although I had doubts, I didn't say much. It was not until he sent me downstairs to the dormitory that Ethan left in a hurry. Probably still worried about Yuki. But at least this was the first time he chose me first between me and Yuki. I smiled self-deprecating lie. How pathetic. What's the use of late company? When I needed you the most. You were by someone else's side. Before. When I was hospitalized for stomach problems and curled up in pain. I dialed Ethan's phone in a cold sweat. Ethan. I'm hospitalized. What? Where? I'll come and accompany you. Hearing the rustling sound in the background. Ethan should have put on his clothes and rushed out of the dormitory. I could almost imagine Ethan coming in a hurry. The pain in my stomach eased a bit. I was looking forward to Ethan eagerly. From dawn to nightfall. The calls to Ethan were never answered. Only a WeChat message in the evening. Chloe. I have some urgent matters and can't accompany you. Take care of yourself. Otherwise I will feel distressed. In an instant. There was a spasm in my stomach. Cold sweat and tears seeped into the hospital bed. I just kept comforting myself that there might really be an urgent matter. When I returned to school after getting an IV drip, I just saw Ethan's back. He was holding a pack of red dates and barley porridge packed from the cafeteria in his hand. Which is the best for nourishing the stomach? Is it bought for me? A glimmer of hope rose in my heart. But it was shattered in the next second. Ethan answered the phone. Oh, my ancestor. I've already bought the porridge. I'll be back soon. I followed Ethan and watched him walk into a convenience store and clumsily pick out sanitary napkins in front of the shelf. During this period, there were continuous calls. It was Yuki. Watching Ethan walk into an off-campus residential building. This is the house Yuki rented off-campus. I don't remember how I got back to school. 4. I blocked all of Ethan's contact information. 3 days later. He realized this belatedly. To make up for me, Ethan set up a formation of roses downstairs in the dormitory, attracting a group of people to make a commotion. In the expectant eyes of my roommates, I got up from the desk, turned around and put on headphones and started doing IELTS listening practice. Men will abandon me, but knowledge won't. Later, everyone in the business school knew that I was having it if with Ethan. Ethan accompanied me to class rain or shine. Sat next to me. And Curtis Wells poured water and handed paper. At least half of the people in the classroom were looking at us. Someone also made a fuss. Chloe. Young Master Zhu is so pitiful. Just forgive him. Ethan still followed me closely and pleaded in a low voice while lying on the table. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I shouldn't have stood you up that day. Why did you go to the hospital? Are you injured anywhere? I asked your roommates. They said you weren't injured. I promise there will never be a next time. So annoying. Ethan, does Yuki think the red bean and barley porridge is delicious? I turned a page of the book and asked casually as if unintentionally. Ethan was stunned for a moment. And then stood up abruptly. Yuki and I are brothers. It's not as sordid as you think. I looked at him calmly. What did I think? Ethan left angrily. I continued reading. But after more than half an hour, the book didn't turn another page. That night, Ethan still appeared downstairs in my dormitory. Yuki was beside him. Chloe. Ethan and I are really buddies. If there was something between us, we would have been together long ago. What business would you have? Yuki explained to me seriously. This sentence is really full of provocation. Only Ethan, this fool, can't tell. Chloe. She has a terrible stomachache every time. She can't be left alone. Don't misunderstand. I know I was wrong. I will never do this again in the future. Okay? When Yuki heard this sentence, she widened her eyes and looked at him. Ethan didn't see it. But I did. I walked around the two of them and left. I don't know what kind of hobby you to have. Sorry. I don't want to be a part of your play. Back in the dormitory. I slumped on the seat as if I had lost all my strength. My roommates didn't speak either. The dormitory was silent. I know that they saw the whole process from the balcony. After a while, the dormitory head asked me, Chloe, What's going on with Ethan? She didn't give me time to answer and continued to speak steadily. Do you still love him? If you still love him, then talk to him properly, and make everything clear. If you don't love him anymore, then directly tear off the fig leaf of the two of them. You see, even my roommates who are not familiar with Ethan and Yuki can see the unusual relationship between the two of them. But Ethan has been acting out a scene of deep brotherhood. I was silent for a long time and slowly squeezed out a few words. I don't know. I really want to be like the sober female led in TV dramas and turn around and leave gracefully after discovering the true face of the scumbag. Only when it really comes to this time do I know how cowardly I am. I keep telling myself that I don't want to be in this bloody love triangle. But there has always been a voice in my heart whispering, have you forgotten how much you and Ethan loved each other once? I can't get out of this relationship so quickly. Facing the dormitory head's question, I can only say, I don't know. Love expert Feifei hit the nail on the head. You don't know if you love or not. You just can't bear to part with it. The dormitory head's eyes turned and suddenly changed the topic. Have you heard of a word called withdrawal reaction? After long-term use of addictive substances, dependence will form. When the use is suddenly reduced, a withdrawal reaction will occur. If you can't forget him immediately, you can try to gradually reduce the projection of your feelings for him and minimize the torture you inflict on yourself, until you successfully withdraw and will no longer be affected by this person. Just make the best use of it. Not long after, I took the initiative to invite Ethan to have a meal together. Ethan excitedly hugged me. Finally, we are back to the way we were. Where is the back to the way we were? He thought I was compromising, but in fact I was saying goodbye to him. I will no longer wrong myself for him. I will not force myself to sit among a group of strangers. Listen to them talk familiarly. Watch him and Yuki play and joke as if no one else is around, and make myself embarrassed. I have my own life. I can argue red-faced with like-minded partners over an algorithm in the laboratory. I can also play and joke wildly and wink at each other to discuss how to trick the unlucky senior brother. My life is not just about love. The week after entering the laboratory, I have already become good friends with my senior brothers and sisters. We made an appointment to go to the newly opened escape room for an adventure on the weekend. I looked into the mirror with a serious expression and carefully outlined my eyebrows. The last time I put on makeup was when I had my first date with Ethan. At that time, all my roommates joined forces and helped me put on an extremely pure and lovely no makeup as Feifei said. But when Yuki saw me, she burst out laughing and said that my nose bridge was not straight enough and my eyelashes were not long enough. Putting on makeup was just like Dong Shi imitating Shishi. And Ethan, who brought Yuki to give her opinion, was not angry at all when he heard this. He touched my head with a smile and said, "Little Dong Shi. So cute." He didn't defend me. I forced a smile. But after returning to the dormitory, I immediately stuffed the newly bought makeup tools into the corner. But why should I avoid it like a flood because of a casual sentence from them? I took out the makeup box again. At this time, Ethan's call came. "Chloe, we have a dinner at the old place tonight. You must come. I have other things to do at night. Just have fun. Come on. Don't spoil the fun. Everyone else is in pairs. How pitiful I am alone." While nervously outlining my eyeliner, I casually said, "Isn't Yuki alone too?" There was silence on the other end of the phone for a while. And the tone was cold. "What do you mean?" I carefully drew the last stroke of eyeliner. "Perfect. It's so embarrassing for her to be alone. It's just right for you two to be companions. You can also send her home at night. Instead." Ethan gritted his teeth and smiled when he heard this. "Okay. Then let Yuki accompany me." Beep beep. The phone hung up. Presumably he was angry again. I was not affected at all. I went out happily. After playing 2 escape room games in a row, the senior brothers and sisters took the opportunity of celebrating senior brother's Aver's graduation and invited us to another meal. A senior sister asked me curiously, "You've been out playing for so long. Why haven't I seen you report to your boyfriend? I shook my head with a smile. Ethan didn't like me sharing every detail of my affairs. He said, every time I open my phone and see so many messages, I feel suffocated. Ethan didn't like reporting to me either. He said, I'm not a 3-year-old kid. So, we don't have this rule between us. When we arrived at the restaurant door, we bumped into Ethan with a gloomy face. As if I didn't see his face as black as the bottom of a pot. I greeted him as usual. What a coincidence. Why are you here? Hearing this, the senior brothers and sisters were all a little curious and looked at our unfamiliar couple. As soon as my question was asked, Ethan's face became even darker. I don't understand. Fortunately, he has his spokesperson. Yuki said in surprise, didn't you come here after seeing Ethan's message? Only then did I notice that Ethan's dialog box with message "Do Not Disturb" was filled with messages. Sorry. I was having so much fun that I didn't have time to look at my phone. Ethan let out a cold laugh. You're having so much fun. You must have forgotten what day it is today. The smile on my face gradually cooled down. I didn't explain. Nor did I pick up the conversation. Yuki said with schadenfreude and a hint of soreness, today is your 3rd anniversary of being in love. Can you forget this? Ethan has been preparing all day. As the heroine, you should show up quickly. Right? I said casually, isn't it just an anniversary? What's so special about it? If we have to commemorate any day, wouldn't we be exhausted? Ethan's cold voice came. Really? I smiled brightly. Isn't this what you said yourself? Ethan was stunned. The senior brothers and sisters are waiting for me. I'll go first. Bye. I went up step by step along the stairs without looking back. A year ago, on the 1st anniversary of being together, I proposed to go to the most famous temple in the local area to pray. It is said that couples who worship devoutly together in the temple can be together forever. But he didn't come that day. I stood at the ticket office and kept calling him, but no one answered. Couples holding hands came and went around me. While I was alone, their laughing and playing were so happy that it was dazzling to me. I waited all day. Finally, in the evening, the phone was connected. Isn't it just an anniversary? What's so special about it? If we have to commemorate any day, wouldn't we be exhausted? There was a strong sense of sleepiness in his voice, as if he had just woken up. But this is our 1st anniversary. Don't you care? Tears were swirling in my eyes. I bit my lip tightly and didn't cry. Okay. Next time it will definitely be a good one. Okay? I climbed the mountain overnight to watch the sunrise. I didn't sleep all night. I'm so sleepy. Don't make trouble anymore. Okay? Ethan's voice became impatient again. I choked up and said, obviously I made an appointment with you first. Okay. Are you done yet? What 1st anniversary and 2nd anniversary? What's the use of these strange sense of rituals? Isn't it just wanting a gift? I'll make it up for you later. Huge teardrops had already fallen on the ground one after another. My nails were firmly digging into the palm of my hand. Did you go to watch the sunrise with Yuki? Ethan didn't speak yet. But I heard the answer. TSK. Falling in love is really troublesome. Fortunately, our brothers have a deep connection. Right. Ethan sneered. Yes. I came out with Yuki. We've known each other since elementary school. Before I knew you, we played together. So what? What are you suspicious about again? Do you have to drive away all my friends before you feel at ease? Why is your desire for control so strong? I don't have. Oh. Buying me breakfast every day. It sounds nice to say that you are worried about my stomach. In fact, isn't it just checking up on me? And if you want to be a bookworm yourself, don't delay me from enjoying life and having fun in time. Okay? And every time you go out to play, you are very boring. You know? But clearly when he confessed to me, he said that he liked my scholarly air and that I was different from the people around him. Afon has forgotten. all forgotten. But I remember. At the end of that day, it was already too late. The buses had stopped running, and I couldn't get a taxi. For 10 kilometers. I walked back to school. It rained heavily on the way. I was drenched all the way. The only thing that could block the rain was the 1-year anniversary confession letter I planned to give to Ethan. It had already been soaked by the rain. I threw it into the trash can by the side. 7 at the table with senior brothers and sisters. Senior brothers Xavier took the initiative to ask. I heard that the night climb on Gushin in the suburbs has a great view. Does anyone want to try it? I want to. I heard that the sunrise is even more shocking. They are all lively and restless young people. Immediately, they began to search for the mount and climbing route and viewing location. The next day, looking at the newly risen sun sprinkling thousands of golden lights between heaven and earth, I let out a long breath. It's really beautiful. What were Ethan and Yuki thinking when they saw such a scenery last year? Senior brothers Xavier nudged me with his elbow. There are countless wonderful sceneries in this vast world. Don't give up such beautiful scenery, just because of a momentary difficulty. Well, I know. We returned to school all the way with laughter. Xavier sent me downstairs to the dormitory and hesitated to say something. I smiled and interrupted what he hadn't said yet. Senior brother. You are a very good senior brother. Always have been. Xavier looked at me steadily. After a while, he smiled and shook his head. You don't even want to string me along and keep me as an option? I was dumbfounded and laughed. Okay. Then. I wish you a bright future. Little junior sister. We smiled and hugged each other. Xavier left. I turned around but saw Ethan. He stared straight at the direction where Xavier left. Don't you introduce? Just a senior brother. Don't I know what men are thinking? Senior brother? If it's just a senior brother, would he want to send you back to the dormitory? Your good buddy can send Yuki home. So what's wrong with my senior brother sending me back to the dormitory? Ethan's face was gloomy. He wanted to lose his temper. But he held back. What senior brother? Why haven't I seen him before? Oh. I got recommended for postgraduate studies. A senior brother from the same laboratory in the graduate school. When did this happen? Why didn't you tell me? Forgot. The atmosphere became tense again. Looking at Ethan, the familiar feeling of tiredness surged up again. I don't know how many times. He can always make me feel more tired when I am tired. Or maybe his appearance leads to my boredom and exhaustion. I took out a bag from my backpack and handed it to him. Anniversary gift. Ethan's face softened a lot. But when he saw the name of the touristeria on the packaging bag, he froze. Opening the packaging, seeing a stone and a photo, his face immediately changed. What do you mean? What's wrong? I see you smiling very happily in the photo. Don't you like it? It was a stone engraved with Zhujiang. There is also a photo of a young man and a woman taken at sunrise. The girl is lying on the boy's back with a smile. The boy is smiling doubtingly with his hands protecting the girl's sides. The merchant taking pictures on the mountaintop was full of pride. It was taken a few years ago. Isn't it good? At first glance, this young couple is in an ambiguous stage. My technique has perfectly grasped the ambiguous feeling. Yes. They are really a perfect match. If the boy wasn't Ethan, I really want to praise them as a perfect couple. Following the details revealed by the merchant, I found a small stone under the huge rock on the mountain top. Under Zhujiang, there is a poem engraved. From now on, the boat vows. The river and sea, send you Shen. It means Ethan vows in front of the rivers, lakes and seas. He will accompany Yuki for the rest of his life. So sweet. I almost shook them. I looked at Ethan who couldn't say a word in front of me. And my eyes were a little red. The mountain that he didn't climb with his girlfriend, he enjoyed with his good buddy. Ethan looked at the stone and photo, and his face changed again, and again. I took a step forward and picked up the amulet on his neck. Coincidentally, there is also Zhujiang. It was the amulet I asked for at the temple, where I said I would spend our first anniversary together last year. When did they go there together again? Last missed Valentine's Day? QIXI festival when I didn't hear from him all day? But I don't care anymore. I heard that this amulet is very effective. Men and women who write their names on it can always be together. The amulet that he didn't ask for with his girlfriend was also asked for with his good buddy. Is this some unique hobby? But I don't plan to play with you guys anymore. I took a deep breath. Let's break up. Before I could finish speaking, the phone rang inappropriately. After answering the phone, I turned around and was about to leave. Ethan grabbed my hand. I'll send you. I didn't say anything. I shook off his hand and left in a hurry. It's not something important. It doesn't have to be said today. Ethan looked at my leaving figure from behind. Before, it was always me who looked at him leaving a grieved lie because of a phone call. Just let him taste this feeling for the last time. 7. The laboratory too urgently needed the model. The senior brothers and sisters all said, I'll be there soon. But in fact, only I went to the laboratory. When the model was running smoothly, it was night again. I hadn't slept for 36 consecutive hours. I felt that if I took 2 more steps, my soul would float out. I lay on the bed but received a series of urgent calls again. Iris ingenuely answered the phone. Chloe. Come to the hospital quickly. Ethan got into a fight with a person who claimed to be your senior brother. The person who called was Ethan's friend. According to him, Ethan was in a bad mood and asked them to drink. Yuki was also there and made a comment or two about me. Ethan irritably told her to shut up. Someone at the next table laughed. As soon as Ethan saw that person, he directly rushed up and raised his fist. When I arrived at the hospital, it was indeed Xavier. Senior brother. What kind of youthful madness are you having? Xavier had some scratches on the corner of his mouth, but it was nothing serious. I'm fine. Go and see your little boyfriend. I didn't hold back. I smiled helplessly. Before leaving the ward, Xavier said again, the girl next to your boyfriend is quite mean in her words. But your boyfriend didn't spoil her either and still defended you. I was a little surprised. Ethan has always been on Yuki's side. Would he actually defend me? At Ethan's ward, Yuki was also there. Her eyes were red. And Ethan didn't coax her. Seeing me push the door and come in, Ethan put on a weak expression and looked at me eagerly. I walked to the hospital bed and looked at him. Are you okay? It hurts a lot. I nodded. It's good that you're okay. Let's talk about our affairs. Before I could finish speaking, Ethan seemed to have guessed something and hurriedly said, Chloe. I just regard Yuki as a friend. I have never had any other thoughts. I swear. If you mind, I will break off friendship with her. Okay? When Yuki heard this, her hand clenched into a fist tightly and she trembled all over. In the end, she laughed. Ethan. You are such a coward. She staggered and left. Before leaving the ward, I seemed to hear a sob. Ethan didn't look at her. He just stared straight at me. I shook my head. Ethan. Until now. Do you still think that I am jealous of Yuki? No. From the beginning to the end. Everything is a problem between you and me. It has nothing to do with her. If it's not her, there will be others. It's all my fault. I won't do this again. Ethan was still insisting. I interrupted him. It's certainly your fault. The 2 of you crossed the line, because you gave her the wrong impression that she could cross the line. She was right about one thing. If there was something between the 2 of you, it would be none of my business. You never liked her. Right? But you enjoy with peace of mind the unspoken love she has for you. You enjoy the feeling of 2 girls competing for you. In the past, when I loved you, I could endure it. I was so infatuated that I could lower my head and beg for you to have only me in your eyes. But now I don't love you anymore. So I don't care anymore. Ethan pulled my hand and tried to pull me into his arms. How can you not love me? We clearly said that we would be together forever. Give me another chance. Okay? From now on, I will only love you. I won't say a word to Yuki anymore. I won't say a word to any girl anymore. Hearing this, I couldn't help laughing. Ethan, don't say such childish words. Chloe, how can you still laugh? How can you not love me? Ethan was a little hysterical. I'll buy you breakfast in the future. Okay? Your favorite iced Americano. Brown sugar glutinous rice cakes. Drunk shrimp. I remember them all. Let's go eat together. Ethan, I have a serious stomach problem. I couldn't eat cold and irritating things a long time ago. Your love, like iced Americano, is untimely. I once regarded it as a treasure. But now I avoid it like the plague. Ethan, have you heard of a word called withdrawal reaction? You are the addictive drug I got addicted to. You can bring me happiness, but also bring me pain, jealousy, and hatred. Since I saw you enter Yuki's rental house, I decided to quit you. Every minute and every second later is just a long withdrawal period. Without you, I can also enjoy the unrestrained youth alone and pursue my dream without being disturbed. Let me tell you good news. I have successfully withdrawn. So, we should break up. 9. I left the ward with a smile and gently closed the door. I didn't care about the crying in the ward behind me. I walked briskly, as if getting rid of a big bird and following me. I still have to run the model tomorrow. The tutor said that there is a thesis topic that I can try. The senior sister said that there is a new bar opened in the south. We can go and indulge freely. I decided to go back and have a good sleep. Regroup, travel light, and set off alone. Tomorrow will be a fine day.